This video is brought to you in part by my sponsors. Card Conduit is the easiest way to sell your unused Magic cards. Whether your collection is sorted or not, there's an option for everyone. With a payout averaging 19% higher than just using one buy list, you can rest assured you get the best bang for your buck. And you can get further savings of 10% on your service fees by using my affiliate link down below or the promo code MTGMudsta. 401 Games is Canada's one-stop shop for trading cards, board games, and hobby supplies. With a huge selection of cards and sealed product, first-time buyers can save 5% off their first order by using the code MTGMudsta, and returning shoppers can also use the code GOBLINS5 to save 5% on orders of singles. And Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. You can use the promo code MUDSTA or the affiliate link down below to save 5% on your next order.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Fred. Today I'll be playing Black Panther, Wakandan King. So this deck mostly with, tokens, counters, transforming lands into giant beasts, and trying to take everyone out.
Max.
Well, that sounds dangerous. I'm playing Orzhov Ramp with Verrak Warp Sengir. I'm hoping to ramp as fast as possible and cast some 7, 8, 9 drops and play around with life totals.
Hey, I'm playing Mistform Ultimus. It's the best commander because it can attack as though it weren't a wall. And that's a critical line of text that's written on him, and it's important for you to know. Ian, what are you playing?
I'm not playing a wall. I'm playing Radha, Heir to Keld, which is Gruel, which is the proper way to ramp it. So I'm going to show Max how to actually do it and make some giant things and hit pick.
Let's do it.
Fred wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays a tapped Treetop Village. Max has a Plains return and pays 1 white for Children of Corliss, which, if you're from Quebec, kinda sounds like something else that you shouldn't be saying. I play an Island for turn and cast Sol Ring. Ian's got a Forest and passes. Fred plays a Dryad Arbor and then taps the village to cast Reese the Redeemed. Max plays a Swamp and then hits me with his children and passes. I play an Island for turn and live the dream with a turn 2 Mistform Ultimus. Ian's got a Mountain and also has his commander on turn 2, bringing out Radha. Fred plays a Plains and casts We Want a Shrubbery, going to find a land. He puts a Temple Garden to field, taking 2 so it comes in untapped, and then casts a Sylvan Library. Max draws, plays a Swamp, and pays 3 for Verrak. I've got an Island for turn, and I cast Kindred Discovery, naming Merfolk. I swing Mistform at Fred, drawing a card from the Discovery because I attacked with a Merfolk, and Fred then takes the hit for 3. Ian's got a Forest, and taps 4 mana for Path of the Animist, going to find 2 basics. He also forces us to vote despite not playing Plane Chase, and we all pick Chaos except for Fred. Fred uses his library, but doesn't keep any extras. He plays a Plains for turn, and brings out Black Panther. He puts a +1/+1 counter onto the Dryad Arbor as he enters, and he then casts the Ozolith. Fred then hits me for 1 and passes. Max plays at a Windswept Heath, cracking it and losing 1, and then using Verrak's ability to lose another 1, and goes to find 2 lands. One of them is a Godless Shrine, and he loses 2 so it comes in untapped. Going to combat, Max then hits Ian with Verrak and gains 2 life from lifelink. I also realize that Ian's name and commander are wrong, so I quickly fix it. Max's second main phase has him casting Witch of the Moors, and then sacrifices the Children of Corliss, gaining back all the life he lost this turn. Going to his end step, the Witch triggers because he gained life, and he's able to put the children back to his hand from his graveyard, and forces all of his opponents to sacrifice a creature. I draw, play a Griffin Canyon, and pass. Ian's got a Screamer Killer coming in during his main phase, and passes to Fred. Fred plays a Marsh Flats, sacrificing it and losing 1 to find a Canopy Vista, which comes in untapped. Fred then swings the Dryad Arbor at Max, and Max declares no blocks. Before damage, Fred casts Secure the Wastes, putting 4 into the X. This makes him 4 1/1 soldier tokens, and he gets to put 4 +1/+1 counters onto the Dryad Arbor. It then deals 5 to Max, and he passes. Max draws and casts a jailbreak in his main phase, having Fred get back his marsh flats. Fred picks the only target he can, giving Max the Windswept Heath. Max then cracks it, paying 1 life and 1 life to Verrak, and finding 2 lands. One of them is an idyllic Grange, giving Verrak a +1/+1 counter as it comes into play untapped. Max then brings out Lore into the 3rd path, and destroys the Ozolith on Fred's side. Fred disagrees with the choice, and says the bigger threat is Kinder Discovery, but Max sticks to his guns. Going to combat, Verrak goes at me. Before damage, I cast Mystic Confluence, bouncing Verrak to Max's hand, and drawing 2 cards. Max's second main phase then has him losing 3 life to play a Razorgrass Field untapped. He's able to recast Verrak, and passes to me. My land for turn is a Trenzalore, and I then cast a Merfolk Sovereign, drawing a card as it enters. I follow it up with a Reality Chip, and then a Commander's Plate, and I ship the turn after that. Ian draws and plays a Rockfall Vale as his land for turn, and then plays Mina and Den. This lets him play another land, which is a mountain. He then passes to Fred, who during his end step, sacrifices the Marsh Flats to go and find a Plains. Fred once more doesn't keep any extras with the library, and he plays a Forest for turn. He then taps 7 mana to cast a Jacked Rabbit, and it enters with 5 +1/+1 counters, and triggers Black Panther, putting another counter onto his Dryad Arbor. Going to combat, Fred swings the Soldiers and Dryad at me. I take the hit for 10, and Fred passes. Max draws and goes straight to combat, swinging Verrak at Ian and Lauren at Fred, strongly suggesting that Fred should block and kill her. Fred decides to do so, putting the Jacked Rabbit in front of her. Before damage, Max activates Lauren to draw he and Fred a card, and Ian then takes 2 and Max gains 2, and Lauren gets taken out. Max's second main phase has him casting an Emeria Shepherd, and he follows up by playing a Plains. This brings back Lauren to the field, and as she enters, Max blows up the Commander's Plate. Max then recasts the children, and going to his end step, the Witch triggers since he gained life, and Max's opponents sacrifice a creature. I play a Seat of the Synod as my land for turn, and I cast Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. I uptick the Walker, with Max milling 2, and I get to draw a card. I then cast Washout and pick white. It hits a lot of creatures on the board, and I then move to combat. I swing the Sovereign at Fred, drawing a card from attacking thanks to Kinder Discovery, and he takes the hit for 2. Ian is able to play 2 forests as his lands for turn, and he casts an Annoyed Altasaur. He gets to Cascade, revealing until he hits the classic Shivan Dragon, and puts it to field. With nothing else, Ian passes. Fred takes the full 8 from his Sylvan library, keeping all 3 cards, and he plays a land for turn, and then casts Soul Ring. Fred then brings back out Black Panther, adding a counter onto his Dryad Arbor. Fred then casts Mondrak, and adds another counter onto the Arbor as well. We then see him playing Intangible Virtue, and going to combat, Dryad Arbor goes at Jace, taking him out. Max's turn has him recasting Verrak. He then pays 3 mana for Savine's Reclamation, and puts the Windswept Heath back onto the field from his graveyard. He sacrifices it, and pays the extra life to Verrak's ability to go and find 2 lands. Max then flashes back the Savine's Reclamation, bringing a land and the Windswept Heath back again. He cracks it once more, losing 2 life total again to find 2 plains. Max then recasts Lauren again, and after discussing it heavily with Fred, agrees to blow up the Discovery if Fred promises to take the full 8 from his library until he can't. Fred agrees, and my Discovery is destroyed, with Max passing turn after that. My turn has a Sliverhive coming in, and I kick a Rite of Replication, making 5 Shivan Dragons as Richard Garfield intended. I have nothing else after that, and pass to Ian. Ian's got a mountain for turn, and he casts a Soul of New Phyrexia. He then swings the Altasaur at Max, who takes the hit to the face. Fred is true to his word, taking the full 8 to keep 3 from his Sylvan Library trigger. He then recasts the Jacked Rabbit, putting 5 into the X to give it 5 +1/+1 counters, and puts another +1/+1 counter onto the Dryad Arbor from Black Panther's trigger. Fred then plays Squilv's Hive, and he passes after that. Maximus has a great discovery in his main phase, returning the Windswept Heath and Street Wraith to his hand. He then pays 4 life, 2 to the cycle ability of Street Wraith, and 2 more to copy it with Verrak, drawing 2. Max then replays the Windswept Heath, and then the Children of Corliss. He then taps Lauren, drawing himself and Fred a card. Max then pays 6 life to help cast Kirik for its Phyrexian mana cost, and he then casts a Pact Weapon, paying 2 life rather than paying the black mana. Max then drops down in life again, as he uses Kirik's ability to help cast a Blood-Soaked Altar. With the altar out, he activates it, paying 2 life, and then 2 life again to copy it with Verrak's ability, plus discards a card and sacrifices Lauren, which in turn makes him 2 5/5 demons with flying. Max then sacrifices the Children of Corliss, jumping back up to 20 life again. He then sacrifices the Windswept Heath, and pays the 1 again to Verrak, going to find 2 lands. Max then discards a card to equip the Pact Weapon onto Verrak, and going to combat, swings his commander at Ian. He reveals an Angel of Indemnity off the top, losing 6 life, and pumping Verrak by +6/+0. Ian then moves to block with a Shivan Dragon, and they trade with Max gaining 8 life. Moving to his end step, Max gets his Witch Trigger, returning a creature to his hand, while his opponents are forced to sacrifice one. I play Scavenger Grounds for turn, and I go to combat. I swing 5 5/5s at Max, who blocks 2 of them with his demons. He still takes the hit for 15. In my second main phase, I then cast a Bilbo's Ring. I then play out Emperor Mihail II, and after quickly looking at the top of my library, cast a Thought Vessel, and then a Gale Rider Sliver. I'm hellbent at this point, and I just pass to Ian. Ian casts a Beast Whisperer in his main phase, and brings back out Radha, drawing a card on cast. He goes to combat, swinging the Soul at Max. Max double blocks, with Ian deciding to deal lethal damage to the Witch. Max does gain 4 life though, and with nothing else, Ian passes. Fred once more takes 8, keeping the 3 cards from his library, and he also takes 1 from the Hive, making 2 mites because of Mondrak doubling it. Fred then drops a bomb with Divine Visitation, and pays 3 mana to use Black Panther's ability to transfer all the +1/+1 counters from Dryad Arbor onto his Jacked Rabbit. Going to combat, Fred swings the Jacked Rabbit at me, and the Dryad Arbor goes at Ian. With the rabbit attacking, Fred gets to make 16 rabbit tokens, which are in turn replaced with 4/4 Flying Vigilance Angels, and then doubled to being 32 tokens because of Mondrak. With the tokens coming in, they trigger Black Panther, and he adds 32 +1/+1 counters back onto his Dryad Arbor. Thankfully they don't have trample, so I block with the Gale Rider Sliver, and Ian blocks with Radha. Fred then passes turn. Max untaps and draws. He asks me if I can deal with this, and after looking at my top card, I tell him I'm not equipped at the moment to do so. He recasts his Emeria Shepherd, and then brings out the Angel of Indemnity, returning to field his Windswept Heath again. He cracks it, losing 1 to find a Plains, and the Emeria Shepherd triggers, bringing back an Enduring Angel this time around. Max then discards a card to gear up Kirik's with a Pact Weapon, and he goes to combat. He swings Kirik at Ian, revealing a Polluted Delta, and Kirik doesn't get pumped at all. Ian double blocks, with Maximus dealing lethal to Mina and Den, but loses Kirik in the process and gains 4. In his second main phase, Max then discards another card and puts the Pact Weapon onto the Angel of Indemnity. He then plays a Polluted Delta, sacrificing it and losing 1 to find Witch's Cottage. This puts the Witch of the Moors on top of his library thanks to his Emeria Shepherd trigger, and Max then moves to resolve Oketra's Last Mercy, skipping his next untap step, but jumping back to his starting life total. With nothing else, he passes to me. I draw for turn, and equip one of the dragons with Bilbo's Ring. It can't be blocked now, and Fred desperately pleads with me to spare his life. He offers up 1 turn of no attacks from his angels if I let him live, and seeing an opportunity to go from 4 players into a dual commander game, I agree. I swing the dragon at Max, losing 1 from Bilbo's ring to draw a card. Max then takes the hit for 5, and in my second main phase, I pay 2 mana for a Phantasmal Image, and have it come in as a copy of the Shivan Dragon again. Ian draws and hopes for a board wipe, but sadly doesn't find one. He plays a tapped Hidden Volcano, and then casts a Ranger's Path, going to find 2 forests to put onto the field tapped. Ian then cycles a Migratory Path, drawing a card, but still finding no wipes, and has to pass to Fred. Fred loses 1 to his Skrillev's Hive, making 2 Angel tokens from Divine Visitation and Mondrak. He then plays a Gaia's Cradle, and once that's out, casts Austere Command, picking the mode to blow up all creatures with 3 converted mana cost or greater, and all artifacts. Before letting it resolve though, he sacrifices the 2 angels he just made, and pays 3 mana to give Mondrak an indestructible counter. He then moves all of the counters from the Dryad Arbor onto the Jacked Rabbit. Going to combat, he swings enough at Max and Ian to take them both out. Once more the Jacked Rabbit triggers, and this time makes 98 new angels, and adds 98 +1/+1 counters onto the biggest Dryad Arbor I have ever seen. Fred's still in the same phase, and swaps the counters from the Dryad Arbor onto Black Panther. The damage is then dealt, and with nothing else, Fred passes. I top deck hoping to hit something of value that'll help me out. I'd planned to use the ring to swing in and win, but sadly have no way to get it back. I do have a few answers in the deck, but unfortunately drew another island, and I know when I'm beat and scoop it up.
Fred, you won. What did you think?
The deck was a bit slow, but when it hit, it hit. So that's really it. Like again, tokens, playing with counters. Mondrak was fantastic, but the golden ticket goes for the Divine Visitation, like my mites, and then the rabbit.
I mean, the Jackrabbit was also really good for your deck, I think. It was a huge enabler even without the Divine Visitation.
Yeah, but I think unfortunately without trample,
Yeah.
it's very like.
Okay, while we do our outro, try to calculate the power on your board.
Yeah, but without trample,
If you can be blocked by a Birds of Paradise, it's garbage.
Midgets.
You're within 2 numbers of that not being a good counter.
no, I get, but it was fun. It was fun. That was fun. So yeah, I'm surprised I lived that long.
You made a good deal. I didn't want Max to survive.
Yeah, but I think it goes in flavor with Wakanda because they were very good at doing politics and protective of their realm.
Just your angels, you have 750 power. Not counting your 100 commander and your
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, Max.
50-50.
What did you think of your deck, Max?
I won. Orzhov ramp, I overramped the rampy deck
Yep.
by a big lead.
No.
I was just waiting a couple of the cards to start swapping life totals to really like pay all the life, get super low, give the total, and
And
just
jump
like,
back up.
yeah. But it's a fun rampy Orzhov deck.
Mistform did the stuff that I wanted to do. I mean, I got to copy Shivan Dragons, which is, pretty much the pinnacle of all things that people want to do in Magic.
Yes.
So,
It's still
yeah,
good.
Yeah, it was. Ian, you didn't get to cast Peg This Worm.
That was my actual only real goal, and this was to cast Panglacial Worm from the deck, and I haven't gotten to do it in the last 4 times I've played this deck.
Something about the
One
fifth
day,
time.
so one more
day.
time.
One day. Cool. See you in the next one.
This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.